It's been about a week since we've released this one. Thanks again for doing this. How many tracks have y'all come out with, like, via Shadow Syndicate at this point?
So, SSR001, the very first release, was Dreadnought, and it was an EP, so he put out 4 tracks in one. And then I put out a single to prelude my EP around Halloween. And now you.
Right on, yeah. Speaking of Dreadnought, he just entered the chat and everything.
What's up?
Yo, Reg.
Double in there.
Yeah, we got Double, Dreadnought, got Amar, Ashley, Double Dubs. Yeah.
Yo, she's killing it right now.
I can tell. Yeah, like it's when you're like fresh on the scene and super hot into it, it gives me that inspo to just like get that much more gumption back into the game where I'm just like, yeah.
Saying, I don't know if I'm ready, and then I watched her play and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. She's fucking fire on the decks. It's cool.
Damn, yo, yeah. We gotta watch out for newcomers up in this because they got the most heat, let's face it.
It keeps me on my toes, bro.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, so this is basically the third release with Shadow Syndicate. Like, well, third Shadow Syndicate release, first release with me on Shadow Syndicate. And yeah, I mean, this is like the first track of the year for me personally, and I'm trying to keep it going. Literally, I'm currently writing for my band Gods and also doing my next track for Station Underground. It's like this remix for the Trainwreck song by Ghost Lotus. But this song right here for the Ravers, I did for the Ravers in mind. I was like, let me do something. When a producer starts a track out, it's like you kind of hit that intro lick a few times, being like, what is this for? Who am I catering to? This is for the Ravers. The track hits it hot and heavy with basically just like a good old 4 on the floor, like way for DJs to be able to introduce the song easily, you know, boom, okay, word. It's not like a weird ambient intro. No, for this track, for the Ravers, it's like just 4 on the floor, easy mixing from, the DJ's perspective. And then I wanted it to subtly evolve into a dubstep style track where it's like, oh yeah, at first you think you're getting this, and then it sort of slowly mutates. I love the build-up aspects of songs and like actually getting that tension across to the listener. Like the build-up is just as good as the drop, if you ask me, and that's like how I engineered this track. Is it to kind of just be like, yeah, you're listening at first, it sounds generic. Like I'll face it. You got like the things that you would want to hear, but then it's like, yeah, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Boom, and then it drops. Like,
I love the switch up that you do too. It's so cool.
Always gotta put that switch up in there, man. Like I'm one for the switch ups, but you know, you got to make it through the first part to get to the switch up is like where it's all at. But yeah, let's see what we got. Anybody got any questions, man? Let's see. Mind fuck word. I'm in showing some love. Word. I appreciate all y'all being up in here. Dude, like the videos have been showing, like that second drop. Mind Sickle Climax makes the drop fire. Yeah, dude, that second drop as well, like I've already mentioned before, it's as I was working on the song, this lick came into my head, and it was like that lick from Come As You Are by Nirvana. And
yeah, I saw that.
At first I was trying to like get in that actual sound clip, like actually do the burn, like the actual sound clip from the song, and then it just really wasn't I couldn't get it to quite translate that properly. So then I was just like, fuck it, whatever. I'll just cut straight to the chase, and then like after the fact, sort of like let people know that's where that drop came from.
Yeah.
You know.
I wouldn't have even known if you hadn't like done the breakdown and showed that, because you blend that melody in so well with the drop that it just seemed like a natural evolution of like your sound. So and it was disguised. But then when you did the breakdown at the end of the breakdown, you're like, funny fact, and you actually showed it, and I was like, oh my god, it is the lick. It's the little hook. That was cool. I like it.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, dude, it's one of those subtle things. As a music producer, you know, we drop little Easter eggs all the time, and it's like it comes in all shapes and forms. But like the thing I did want to actually talk about like the way that like I produced the first track a little different from the second drop, the first drop from the second drop, is like this whole thing around like I always like to give those switch ups, like I was talking about, even from the way that the buildup goes into the first drop. Like it's about those switch ups to me. And when I just recently did my album review on the new Skrillex album, he's all about those switch ups, and even much more of an ADHD time manner. Like, and it helps normalize, I think, to me, like just doing whatever you want to do as a producer. Like, hey, it's okay. Like, there's no rules. Like, nobody's making rules.
No rules. There are certain things that sound better than others, but there are no rules. That's why I love it.
Exactly. Although there are no rules, adhering to the rules does get you a little farther within reason.
Yeah, maybe you don't have reverb on your sub, but also maybe do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, reverb on the sub. Yeah. So Double, my guy, he said, how did you first come up with For the Ravers? So how did I come up with For the Ravers? I pretty much, every now and then, you, as a producer, you get this little hair up your bung where you're just like, I got something that I want to say, something that I want to do. And this track, it didn't originate with a specific cause. Like, I wasn't like, oh, this one's going to be for ShadowSyndicate or for a specific label or anything. No, that's like not my mode of operation. I like to just produce from the heart, and just like with whatever happens, because you can't force a song after all. And so the way I first came up with this was just with that inkling. I probably listened to something that just like inspired me and made me, or sometimes I don't even need to listen to anything. I just want to come up with something. And you always got to just strike while the iron's hot. Boom. Like all my songs typically start with like either kind of storyboarding out the song just to get things going, or sometimes I have like a drop idea straight off the get-go where I'm just like, yeah, like this is how I want the first drop to sound. In this case, when I was looking back on the project file, I remember seeing that I was going through Splice and I was looking for sounds that I was resonating with at that time. And at that time, I mean, this song progressed from the first drop, which you've got like these ambient sort of like arpeggiators going off like in the top end with like these almost like LS Dream style like sounds, like bass sounds kind of going off. Like, I don't know, this is like an amalgamation, an alchemy of like all sorts of different influences, and this is just me trying to get it off my chest because I'm always conflicted with so many different, not even conflicted, just inspired by so many different influences.
So did you know you were going to do the Kurt Cobain, or did that come after?
That came on the spot. I did not know that at all, and that's just how it goes, you know. Like,
the reason I ask is that I don't know if you heard my track Hold Back, but it's got that Marvin Gaye. Bow, 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 bow. I've been feeling right, baby. That part, yeah. And
Yeah.
I had it stuck in my head one day, and I was like, bow, 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 bow. You know, in my head, I was like, maybe there's something there. And I went to the desk with that idea, you know, which normally doesn't happen to me.
Well, I'm glad it did because that's like the inkling of the idea you got to hold on to. Like, seriously, it can be just as much as just a little snippet of an idea, and that's more than enough to fuel the fire. And with the way that everybody's been like flipping tracks these days, it's just like, yeah, I'm slipping. No, that's why I did that like unreleased right now, the Rick Roll
Yeah.
dubstep remix. Yeah, where I'm just like, you listen to the song, you get this idea in your head. What up, High Ed?
What's
Yo,
up?
hey,
That's a real one right there.
High Ed's gonna be at High Tide.
Ooh.
DJing, pun intended, right there. Shout outs. But yeah, where it's just like, it just like it. The idea starts in the imagination,
Oh.
and I heard that like dubstep remix of that Rick Roll in my head, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, never gonna bwomp bwomp bwomp, bucka bucka bwomp bwomp bwomp." I'm like, and nobody's done this yet. I was like, okay, same difference of an inspiration.
Oh, we got some more questions in here if you want to check it out.
Let's see what we got. I got one. Come, that is gonna. Okay. Ashley's got one that's coming up. Let's see what else. What part of the song did you start at to build off of? I'm pretty sure this one I started off with the drop. It's either I start off with the first drop and I just wrestle with it until I got something actually tangible, or I create a. If that doesn't work out, then I go to the beginning of the song and I create a build up, and then the build up typically lends way into the drop. This one I'm pretty sure was a little bit of both. I've done so many songs like since then, it's like hard to keep track, but
Oh, I get
it's
it.
like one of those ones. I'm pretty sure this was like a little mix between the two, where it's like, yeah, I got a little bit of the first drop going down where I like bring in these sounds and I'm starting to get it together. You know, it's like if I don't kind of have like a solid idea by like within like the first 10 minutes, you know, it's like just scrap it and redo it, or go to the intro and create it all over again. It's one of those things where, I mean, I will sit down and literally wrestle with an idea until like I make it work.
Yeah. I think I'll do that too, to a point where I realize it's been 3 weeks and I've been on the same project file, like angry about like a drop section, like this just isn't working out, and then I either have to like save a new project file, you know, save as, and do like a variation or something, and then start just deleting blocks of stuff and come up with something new. Or the best way, I think, to kind of even come off of what Double Double was asking, how to get through beat block, I think one of the best ways for me to get through beat block is to just start a new track. It's that simple, really, in some cases.
No, exactly. And I'm so glad when it happens like first or second try, because as we know, like there's so many just dusted files on our hard drives where I mean,
Version 17, version 26, yeah.
yeah, thank God this one came easy, and those are the best ones. If I don't really get it by like the fifth go, which is a very rare instance that I still am trying it at the fifth like shot. Like if I can't get it within like 5 quick throws, it's just over. Like, and that's just the way it is. Like, because it has to catch fire with me quickly in order for it to happen. And after that, I'm just sort of out on it. But no, this one came quick, and those are the best ones, the ones that kind of write themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think for my EP, I got to a point where I was sitting on them, most of those tracks for like months and months, because I was like, they're done, but also I'm not really fully happy with them, and I don't want the public to hear them yet. But also, I don't know what else I can do to them to make them better, and so I just kind of chipped away over time until I had something, and then I had a couple people in this chat actually were like really encouraging me, like, you need to put this stuff out. You can't keep sitting on this for forever. I know I showed Double Double a couple of my tracks, and he was like, bro, you're crazy if you don't release these. And I thought they sucked, you know. Do you ever get like that with your work, where you're like, it's not good enough, and then somebody hears it and they're like, you're crazy?
Yeah, yeah, that happens often, and you know, we are our own worst critic, and what
No
can you
problem.
do? Like at the end of the day, I really do try to encourage my fellow producers to to just release it. Like you don't have to get caught up on those pretenses. Like I get it. I go through the same thing. Just because my track isn't a Subtronics like level tier song, like it doesn't mean I should not release it. And you know, that gives you so much more wind in your sails as a producer, just to get it out. Like go through the process, because you'll still be doing this years in advance if you're still with it, and you'll be kicking yourself if you didn't just try a little bit harder right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of times it's just the pressure of the industry, of just the music, like the circles that we're in, and it's so oversaturated with so many amazing, talented people that I end up comparing that work to guys that are touring or guys that are blowing up on Instagram, and I'm like comparing it to that. Like, it's not Company, it's not Murata, it's not Phase One. I can't release it yet because it's gonna hurt my brand. But in reality, it's like, if I have 2 tracks on SoundCloud and I have 50 tracks in my folder that I haven't released yet, then I'm not even going to be building a brand in the first place, you know?
Exactly. That's a really tough hurdle to get across. And you have to simply just release the song already. All right, it's not a big
Yeah.
deal, and we can't be too self-conscious about it. Now, Double Double said, "Is there an EP or album on the way?"
That's a good
So,
question.
yeah, there is. And as far as album, I'll be doing an EP before an album, and probably another single before an EP. But that single will probably be a part of that EP, and
That's what I did.
it's one of those things where it's like I'm going to be releasing even before my next bit of like dubsteppy style stuff. I'm going to be releasing some lo-fi tracks, believe it or not,
Cool.
just to keep the momentum flowing. And this bleeds into that point where it's like you produce so many songs as a producer, and then you are too self-conscious to release it. At this point, I produced a bunch of lo-fi tracks to be the background songs of the latest, my band Gods. We did a making of the album thing, and I did a bunch of original lo-fi beats in that. And Deslin was like, dude, you should just release those songs. And I was like, okay, I will, dude. I will.
I love
I
lo-fi.
get
I
that it's
write
like,
lo-fi as a fun side project sometimes, just for myself, like a passion project.
exactly. So I was actually planning on starting to plot on that this evening, and that's just to keep the momentum flowing. Like I get it's not dubstep, but you know, I've had good plays. Like I released a track called Please Hold like I say recently, this was like a year or so ago. I was on hold for so long that I took the hold music, held it up to the microphone, and then ended up remixing that song. So that's why it was called Please Hold, and it was sort of like a lo-fi song, and it
I
did
love
pretty
that.
well. It did pretty well for what it was. So here's a little comeback on that. That'll be coming out soon.
Nice. You want to play your favorite part of your track? We can hear it on the live.
Yeah. So my favorite part of the track. Ugh.
It's a
It's
hard one.
definitely so. All right, let me pull it up. The whole song I love. It's the build-ups really get me going. Not gonna lie. Um,
If anyone in the
and
chat has another question, put it in here while we're doing this too.
let me see. Yeah. No, for sure. Y'all put y'all's questions in the chat. I am ready to answer. So going back to this song. Oh, so this song started out as Snow Day because when it snowed here in Charleston, I just was stuck inside and I wanted to make a track. And this is the track that happened.
Gorilla, we'll see you soon in Myrtle. Double doubles in the chat too.
Hell yeah. Charleston Myrtle Beach Connect. All right, so
That's right.
here we go. Busting on the volume.
Let's hear it. Hey, if you guys haven't streamed yet, go hit that link and stream this thing. It's on Spotify, on SoundCloud, right? Everybody give us those streams,
SoundCloud,
please.
Spotify, all streaming platforms. My favorite parts are literally the build-ups of the drops. Like the way that it starts to happen and you start to feel like it's starting to turn, and like the way that like I did the vocal chops and like going through a low pass filter, like up until it's like those parts of tension are definitely my favorite BPM and key it was written in. Okay, so this one I'm pretty sure is 70 or 75 BPM, and that is just like a solid BPM for dubstep in general.
Yeah, it's 150. He likes to keep his tracks graded on halftime for some reason, and it always screws me up when we tag.
Oh yeah. It is 75 BPM, but it's got those 150 kind of elements to it where it comes in with that boo, 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 boo. Highly inspired by Wookiee. But yeah, literally like the build-ups, dude. I mean, like, I love taking the listener from that regular, generic, like, big house kind of type of flow into the drops, and you're just like, I'm a raver. This is for the ravers. As a raver, you're like, all right, word, like, we're sitting there, like, the beginning of the drop is to, I mean, the beginning of the whole entire track is to, like, keep momentum from whatever, like, the track was that you're mixing out of. And then you're like, all right, I'm rocking with it. Like, I don't know what's happening, but it seems like whatever. And then it's that switch up vibe where you might expect it to go into, like, big house, like, just oots, oots, oots. But no. Like, ravers do get down in dubstep sort of ways, and this is to, like, you know, edge them into that, edge lord the rave heads into the dubstep, and then vice versa, the dubstep heads into the more like 150 BPM style.
I love it. All right, let's hear it.
All right, so here we go. So yeah, it's that thing where it's like I wanted to bring back some of that old school dubsteppy flow, but with like that modern sound. It's just like that beautiful sort of drop where it's like boom, bum, bum, and it's like these arpeggiators going off as ear candy, and but you're getting like that gnarly, like sort of sustained bass, and then it comes in with that bam, bam, pick it, bam, bam, pick it, boot, da, boot, da, boot, coo. It's almost like, to me, that like old school Skrillexy, like 2000, like 14 dubstep infused into that modern flair.
That's really hot right now too.
Dude, yeah, and listening to that new Skrillex album, like he's seeming to try to double down on that old school flair, but with a new school sort of tinge.
Yeah, the newer sound design, but with that same flavor from like 2012, 2013. I've seen a lot of people do that. I played a No Good remix for my work buddy, and he was like, it was the Are You, what's that? Oh man, I forget what it's called, but it's like they do a lot of hip hop remixes and like a lot of just like pop music remixes, but in bass music. And he was like, "Wow, this sounds like the dubstep that got me into dubstep in 2013." You know what I mean? That's just like a really popular avenue of bass music right now.
This is the gateway. Like we're remixing songs, like remixing pop songs or club songs into a more heavier dubsteppy kind of sound. That is the gateway, and I love it so much. Like I can't,
Yeah.
can't help it, and that's why I have been so inclined to become a producer and do it myself in my own flavor. I mean, those are my favorites. Are the remixes of the popular songs that people do really well.
Anybody have any other questions about the track, about production, about Phil as a person, what kind of ice cream he likes, what his feet smell like, anything at all?
Yeah, y'all. Before we gotta sign off here, any further questions? I appreciate Amar Sound saying it's literally for every raver in one track. It's perfect. That's such a nice thing to say, and that's exactly what I was going for. Is to
So
really try to.
how long have you been producing?
So I've been producing pretty much like in this style since about 7 years ago. And do I use Serum 2 on this track? No, Serum 2 was not available when I was working on this track. And let's see those toes on cam, bro.
That's behind the paywall, dog. You gotta pay for that one.
Yeah, Wiki feet.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us in this chat. We love you. We love fucking Shadow Network. Shout out. What's up?
Shout
Hopefully
out.
We'll get some more tracks from Double Crown on the ShadowSyndicate label. That'd be cool. Good job,
Y'all
man.
stay in tune. All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Later, guys.
Peace.